And Thomas, after Let the Right One In, you were kind of a very hot property. Everybody wanted you to direct their next horror film. And clearly you didn't, though it is a kind of horror film in some ways. So what was it about this that made you want to make a film about kind of paranoid, miserable spies and who are tormented by their guilt and secrets?
I don't know. It's quite easy to know when you turn on to something you read. It's when you read something that creates images and you get a lot of images. It's all about that, really. And I sort of after that film, I was terrified by the attention, really, and I didn't really know what to do. But this came up, and I thought it was so impossible. It interested me.
I mean, there are similarities because they're both about characters who kind of live in the shadows. I mean, vampires and spies. So could you see thematic similarities within it? Was that one of the...
No, I can't, but maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. I don't know.
But you were, I mean, when it was announced that you were doing it, I thought what a fantastic kind of idea, a kind of outsider's perspective on this very sort of English tale. Yet you knew the story, didn't you? You'd seen it as a child. You're quite an Anglophile in some...
Well, we are. In Sweden, we're quite breastfed on British television. You knew always in the 70s, you heard the Thames television, and you had like the London Weekend, and then there was this Granada, the man sitting on a horse. Anglia, sorry. And you knew it was going to be wet or damp tweed. And it's sort of... so I think I got a lot of that from my childhood. And I traveled a lot here in the 70s, so that was a great inspiration.
Mm. I mean, the original kind of 79 miniseries cast a very long shadow. Did you have any kind of trepidation about taking on this? And you as well, Peter?
You know, it's like you and I sitting here in the very same room. I see this and you see that, and it's the same room. If it's a good source material, you could have completely different views on the same thing. And it was the TV series was very well made, and it was great to have when we started working with this, as you know, just to get the whole intrigue clear. But I think if it's a good source material, you shouldn't be afraid. It's easy to get a new view if it's good. Mm.
What about you, Gary? I mean, did the ghost of kind of Guinness hang over this for you at all?
Yeah. I did not say yes to this immediately because of that. It was obviously a wonderful opportunity, and you know, it's not every day you get asked to play George Smiley. But a little, you know, the voice inside Gary's head that doesn't like him was saying, you know, who do you think you are? You know. He made it so, it was so popular. I'm of an age, I remember the series, and one would adjust one's social calendar in the days before VCRs and TiVo. You would set aside that hour on a Sunday night, I think it was, and you would watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And he made... obviously, Smiley is as an iconic literary character, but Guinness popularized him, and it was much beloved. And so I was sort of like, you know, it was a bit cheeky, really, to step into those great shoes. But he convinced me, and he saw something there. So, but it wasn't an immediate. I had that sort of thing of I'd say to my manager, tell them yes, I'm in, and then about an hour later I'd call him and I'd say, have you called them yet? And he said, no, London's, it's not open yet. And I would say, don't call them. I need to think about this a bit more. So, and then the next morning I'd call him and I'd say, no, I have to do it. I have to play it. So it was a little like that for a week or two. And then I sent you an email.
Yeah.
And I said, I sent Thomas an email that just said, I'm in. And he sent me back a smiley face.
I was overhearing you make in an interview the other day in which I think you put your finger on it. You said because it's very easy to be put into the position of being afraid of doing something because of a wonderful and iconic performance like Alec Guinness's, which it certainly was. But what you said, which you might have forgotten, I don't know, is you said the way in which you approached it was as any classical actor would approach a classical part. There's many ways to skin a rabbit, There's it's there is no such thing as being completely definitive.
Yeah. I mean, John would know this. One of the great things about being an actor is you getting the phone call. I always think it's great.
Oh,
when
that's
you get
the best bit.
Yeah, and they go, "You're playing Hamlet," and you go, "I'm playing Hamlet," and then you go, "I'm playing," and then of course you've got to do all the work.
Yeah.
And but yes, you're right. I at the end of the day, I walked through that fire, and approached it as one might a classical role that there had been James Mason and Dan O'Melliott and Anthony Hopkins and Guinness, and this was Gary's interpretation.
But it sounded like you were kind of, your voice is sort of not a pastiche. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of mining Guinness in a little way. I mean, it's funny because I heard you on the radio the other day, a clip from the film, and it sounded very much like Alec Guinness. But when I see you on the film, it sounds different with you.
Wait, it couldn't sound like this, could it?
Yeah, there's a mole at the top of the sword. No, I don't know. I think we had access to John le Carré, and we met that morning, and I had heard him on the radio, and I had some recordings, and so I mean I don't sound. I mean I don't have that vocal, that set of pipes that Alec Guinness had, and it had that very Eeyore sound, and it was very Eeyore. And I think I'm doing a little bit of le Carré. I stole a bit of his.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, of his voice and some of his mannerisms, and I just thought, well, here's the DNA. Here is go right to the guy.
So what kind of input did le Carré have throughout the whole process, from you writing the script to, directing the movie and being on set? Because obviously he has a little cameo as well. So
he was tremendously generous from the beginning. I mean, Bridget and I met him right at the beginning, and he was. We went to his house, and he was quite stern. I remember in the morning, we were quite nervous, and then he took us out to lunch, and he ordered a bottle of wine, and then he became much more benign after that. And it was very sweet, and he told us lots of great stories, and he's a fantastic raconteur. And he was lovely, and he always said, I'm not going to intrude, but if you need me, I'm here. And we took him up on that, and we talked to him a lot about problems or ideas for scenes, and just in the course of meeting him several times, anecdotes came up about his time in MI5 and MI6, some of which made it into the film. So the Christmas party originally came from an anecdote he told us about I think MI5 having a Christmas party, they got a bit out of hand, and someone started throwing bottles out the window, and the police were called to break it up. Really like the idea of the police coming to stop the spies having a party.
And did, did they have a Santa Lenin then? Or was that your idea?
Was that what
Santa Lenin.
I can't remember if we made that up or not, the singer, the Russian. I think that possibly also came from. It sounds too good for us to
I
make
think
up.
we made it up, and we asked him if it would be possible, and he said
yes,
yeah, why not?
So he was fantastic generous. Yeah, he helped us all the way through in terms of the script. Yeah.
What about working with him for you, Thomas?
He was extremely, as Peter said, very generous, and he said when we started, he said, please do not do the book. It already exists. The TV series already exists, and please do something new and explore this in your own way, and please take the responsibility of this, and I'll be helpful. And it's a fantastic opportunity to have, and he's been great.
John, can I ask you about Thomas and what he's like as a director on set? Is he very detailed? Does he allow the actors room for improvisation? How does it work?
Oh, I was dreading this question. He's a monster. Well, I think what I've got great. I have wonderful things to say about Thomas, but I'm embarrassed to say them in front of him. But more than anything, watching Thomas work, he has the great generosity of casting and then saying, basically, we've talked about it, I expect you to come with something, and I want what you bring. And so that you unpack your bag and you say, well, this is what I've got to offer. And he says, thank you very much, 2 takes, fine, next shot, so on. But what was interesting in watching him, because you touched on it earlier when you said, how do you manage to get this into 2 hours, and from literature? Because literature is such a different animal, and it so rarely happens that you get a good book and manage to make that journey into cinema, into pure cinema. And just watching Thomas working and seeing the film in respect to what the script was to start with, because it's not the same as it was when we started. It's been in the cutting room, it's been moved here, things have been moved there, images there. But he's constantly looking for image on screen, which is, as we all know, cinema. And that's where the précis comes in. It's not actually a précis, it's a different way of saying it. And that, I think, is what has happened with this film, and certainly with Let the Right One In as well.
I love the way that Smiley doesn't seem to say anything for the kind of first 15. It seems to me like the first 15 minutes of the film, 15, 20 minutes. Was that in the script? Was that something you worked out on set, or was that something that came in the editing?
I don't remember.
It came later.
It came later, yeah.
I think I answered the door, and
Originally Peter Gwilym called at the door, and
and he
George
says
would have answered
Peter,
there.
yeah.
it's a whole, yeah.
So he
So
would have.
it was
he
in
would
the
have spoken
editing
earlier,
that
yeah.
you decided. I mean, a wonderful first line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's that the kind of the use of silence that you did so well and Let the Right One In. You kind of carried on in this, that you allow the main character not to say anything for, such as.
You get very interested, don't you, when it's a silent. I mean, silence is such a useful actor in cinema because it activates the audience. So, like if I ask you a question and you don't answer, that is also an answer. And that activates you as a viewer. Why didn't he answer? And what is he thinking? Does he hate him? Or silence is very activating on screen, and it's you shouldn't underestimate it.